My name is Maryann Liethof and I'm the National Program Manager for Polio Australia. Polio Australia was established in 2008 after a meeting of all the polio state networks who decided that they wanted to find a way to future-proof the services for their members. Polio Australia is set up to standardise health information across Australia for polio survivors and health professionals. We can do that in a couple of ways. One is that we have a program that helps educate polio survivors and their carers and the community in what the late effects of polio are, and I'll talk about that in a moment, but also about educating health professionals in how to work with the post-polio body. In 2017, we were granted some money from the Federal Department of Health, which enabled us to employ a clinical health educator, and that has done a great deal towards educating the health professionals across Australia. The main thrust of that is to future-proof services for polio survivors as they're ageing. The last polio epidemic in Australia was in 1962. That being the case, we've really been dealing with an ageing demographic in Australia, and we've been looking at educating people in how to work with the ageing polio body. However, there's been a number of younger polio survivors from countries where polio was only more recently eradicated, and they would be like India, Africa, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and a number of areas in Asia. So we're really trying to reach out to those younger polio survivors and make sure that they understand what they're experiencing with the late effects of polio, and also make sure their doctors and treating health professionals know what they're presenting with when they come to their clinics. The late effects of polio can present themselves anywhere from 15 to 50 years after a person has contracted polio. And they will present themselves in new or increasing muscle weakness, in pain, fatigue. There might be respiratory issues, there might be speech issues, and there'll be a whole raft of things that people won't necessarily know what they're experiencing, especially if they don't identify with the root cause being the polio that they had, usually when they were children. It's being able to educate them on what those possible effects might be, and then being able to help them share that with their treating health practitioner. Polio Australia has developed a number of resources to help people understand the late effects of polio. We have two main websites. They are polioaustralia.org.au and poliohealth.org.au. Polio Australia is probably more where the polio survivor and their carers might actually go to look at the different types of information, and they have frequently asked questions on that website. Poliohealth.org.au will be something that the health professionals can look at, because there are a number of resources on there that will include clinical papers that have been written and research into the late effects of polio. We also have clinical training that our clinical health educator, Paul Cavendish, will be doing across Australia. He's already conducted a number of professional courses for health professionals. And we also have our Community Development Officer, Steph, who is training up people in the community about the late effects of polio and how that might be affecting them, and what sort of information they can take to their treating health practitioner. We rely on donations to make sure that people living with the late effects of polio have access to these services that Polio Australia is delivering. If you would like to make a donation to Polio Australia, please go onto our website, polioaustralia.org.au, and hit the donate button. Thank you very much.